Hi there. Get ready, because we've got a fascinating stack of material on the table today.
Oh, yeah.
We are diving deep into the economic landscape of Southern Nevada, really zeroing in on the energy and, the dynamics of the Las Vegas area.
That's right. And the sources you shared, they're pretty comprehensive. We're talking an economic report, right? Full of key indicators, detailed data tables, even breakdowns by specific zip code.
Yeah, the zip code stuff is interesting.
Plus that list of major development projects, what's happening, what's planned, and kind of unexpectedly, one very practical piece of local info too.
So our mission, it's clear. We want to navigate through these sources, pull out the most vital insights, make sense of what these numbers are actually telling us, and piece together that bigger picture of what's shaping the region right now, especially for you, the listener.
And we're looking at an economy where, these figures, billions in gaming revenue, millions of visitors, millions of residents, these aren't just abstract statistics.
No, they really drive change.
Exactly. And we're seeing significant shifts year over year.
And it's important to remember, right, this report is kind of a snapshot in time.
Good point. Most of the data takes us up to mid to late 2024, maybe into early 2025. Some figures go back further, which helps see trends.
So the real goal is understanding the current status and maybe where things seem to be heading.
Exactly. It's about finding the story, within all these numbers.
Okay, let's start with those headline figures. Right at the top of the report, the key indicators. These are kind of like the vital signs for the economy's health, yeah.
Absolutely. And what jumps out immediately is the gaming revenue for Clark County. It hit, get this, $13.6 billion.
Wow. Billion with a B.
Right. And the report highlights a 3.2% increase compared to the same period a year before. That's measuring the 12 months ending August 24 against the 12 months ending August 23.
Okay, so 3.2% growth year over year.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, it works out to over $1.1 million more being earned every single day since June 2023.
Every day, that's huge.
It is. The Las Vegas Strip itself, that was $8.9 billion of the total. And it grew slightly faster, actually, at 3.5%. Downtown added about $915 million.
So I think I saw a note about a tiny dip comparing month over month in one part. But the big picture, the year-over-year trend, that's solid growth in the core industry.
Precisely. Yeah, don't get lost in the monthly fluctuations. The overall trend, year over year, shows real consistent strength.
Got it. Okay, moving to the broader economy. GDP growth. The report highlights Las Vegas reaching an all-time high GDP of $136.0 billion. What does that number really mean, though?
Well, GDP, gross domestic product,
Yeah.
think of it as the total value of everything produced, all goods and services, in the region.
Okay.
So that $136.0 billion figure, that's actually for the year 2022. The report notes it's a pretty robust 5.3% increase over 2021, which was $129.2 billion.
So a 5.3% jump for an economy this size?
Sure.
That's not just a big number, is it?
No, it's significant. It signals real economic expansion, productivity gains across, various sectors, not just gaming.
That really puts the scale into perspective. Okay, now visitation. The numbers here are always kind of staggering. 41.7 million visitors over the last year.
Yeah, the specific number, 41,660,500 visitors for the 12 months ending August 24.
Okay.
And like you said, it's up 2.3% from the prior year. That's about 921,000 additional visitors.
Oh.
Think about it. That averages out to roughly 2,500 more people arriving every single day compared to the year before.
And that probably connects to the airport numbers.
Directly.
Yeah.
Reid International Airport saw a similar jump, 3.2% increase in passengers. That's 58.3 million people passing through.
But didn't I see something about conventions?
Ah, good catch. Yeah, the flip side is convention attendance was actually slightly down, just 0.4% year over year, about 5.9 million attendees versus 5.95 million the year before.
So maybe more leisure tourists flying in, but a slight pause on the big convention crowds. Is that fair?
That's one way to read it, definitely.
Yeah.
Something to watch.
Okay. Now, income. Median household income listed at $68,673. How does that stack up? That number feels like it needs context.
It really does. So that figure, $68,673, that's for the year 2023. And the report points out it's actually down 2.2% from 2022.
Down. Okay.
Yeah. In 2022, it was $70,241. So that suggests a recent dip. But, and this is important, it also highlights that the median income has risen by over $6,800 since before COVID.
Okay. So big gains post-pandemic, maybe peaking, and then a slight pullback in the most recent data.
Exactly. That's the nuance. Recent dip versus the longer-term recovery.
That's really helpful. Okay, what about jobs, employment? 1.1 million people employed. Is the job market growing there?
Well, the report puts the exact number at 11,129,303 as of August 24. That is up, but only slightly, 0.4% compared to August 2023.
Okay, so adding jobs, but slowly.
Yeah, about 4,500 net new jobs over the year, and the unemployment rate for August 24 was 6.1%.
How does that compare?
Well, it's down from 6.7% earlier in the year, which is good, but it is slightly up from the 5.7% it was in August of the previous year.
Interesting. So slow job growth, unemployment ticks up a bit year over year,
Yeah.
even while visitor numbers are rising.
Yeah, it suggests maybe the job market is, I don't know, stabilizing.
Yeah.
Or maybe seeing slower expansion after some bigger surges earlier.
Okay. And finally, population. Clark County now at 2.4 million residents.
That number just keeps climbing, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
The 2023 figure is precisely 2,371,586 residents. That's a 1.7% growth over 2022.
So about 40,000 more people in a year.
Roughly, yeah. And we see other signs of this growth, like new electric meter hookups were up 2.2% year over year, suggests more households forming.
Makes sense.
Although, interestingly, on the flip side, the number of people surrendering driver's licenses, leaving the state was actually slightly down, 1.6% lower.
Oh. Any idea where people are coming from?
The report notes the biggest group surrendering licenses to Nevada is still from California, about 37% of the total, then Florida, Texas, Washington.
Okay, so we've looked at the big picture stuff for the whole region. Now let's zoom in a bit. Because the report gets really granular, doesn't it? It breaks things down by zip code. And this is where you can really see that Las Vegas isn't just one uniform place.
Oh, absolutely. This part of the report is incredibly insightful. You get tables, maps, showing huge variations across zip codes for things like population, yes, but also growth rates, income levels, age demographics, unemployment, even housing market details.
Like what kind of housing detail?
Number of homes sold, average price per square foot, and interestingly, how long homes are actually sitting on the market, days on market. It's all in there for 2023, or for housing, up to Sep 2024.
And you see the extremes immediately, right? Like look at population growth between 2010 and 2023.
Yeah.
Some areas just exploded.
Totally. Like zip code 89086 up in North Las Vegas grew by over 57%.
57%, wow.
Yeah. Or 89138 out west in Summerlin, that grew over 23%. But then you look at some parts of the older urban core, like 89030 or 89109 near the Strip, they actually saw population declines.
That contrast really tells a story about where the development and maybe migration has been focused, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the income levels, just as varied. You've got zip codes like 89101, downtown-ish, with a median household income around $30,000.
Okay.
And then you jump to places like 89138 again, or 89085, where the median income is well over $115,000, even up to $150,000.
So huge differences. Not only are populations shifting differently, but the actual economic reality for people on the ground is vastly different depending on the neighborhood you're in.
Completely. And that diversity, it extends to demographics too, like median age. It ranges from, the low 30s in some areas like 89115 up to the mid 60s in more established retirement communities like 89134.
So how does all that variation, the demographics, the income, how does that connect to the housing market data you mentioned?
It's directly linked. I mean, where people are moving, what they earn, their age, it all shapes the housing picture. Take average sale price per square foot. Yep. You see those high income, high demand areas like 89135 or 89138. Average price per square foot is over $400, sometimes closer to $450 or $460.
Okay.
Now compare that to areas like 89169 or 89110 Neo, where it's closer to $200, maybe $200, $220 per square foot.
Big difference.
Huge. And that price difference combined with the days on market figure, that tells you how hot or cool the market is in that specific spot.
So like faster sales in the more expensive areas.
Not always, but often indicates demand. For example, a zip code like 89085 showing just 13 days on market. That's a red hot seller's market. Things move fast.
Right.
But then you see 52 days in 89146. That suggests a much slower pace, maybe more buyer leverage.
So why this level of detail really matters to you, the listener, is it just underscores that when we talk about the Las Vegas area, we're talking about this mosaic, right? A collection of really distinct markets and communities. Each one has its own economic profile, its own housing dynamics. It's definitely not just one single entity.
It really highlights why you need to look beyond those big regional averages to understand what's truly happening, on a local level.
Okay, so given this picture of varied growth, these distinct communities, where's the investment going? And this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
The report includes this comprehensive list of major projects, planned, under construction. This is the pipeline, right? Showing us what's being built and maybe what the future could look like.
Yeah, that section is pretty impressive. The report organizes them nicely, too, into under construction and planned, gives a clear view of both the immediate future and, well, the longer-term dreams.
Let's look at what's actively being built first. The Brightline High-Speed Rail connecting Vegas to Southern California. That's massive.
Huge. $3 billion. Targeting completion in 2027, that's a game changer for transportation.
Definitely. And then you see all this money pouring into upgrading the core tourism stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Significant capital. The Venetian's undergoing a $1.5 billion renovation. The Rio's getting a $350 million update. And the Convention Center is expanding again, $600 million project. Plus, the M Resort down in Henderson is adding a new tower for over $200 million. Most of these are aiming for completion in the next couple of years, like 2025, 2026.
But it's not just hotels and casinos, is it? The list has projects that signal maybe some diversification.
Absolutely. That's a key point. Look at the Haas Automation Manufacturing Plant. That's a $400 million investment aiming for 2026 completion.
Manufacturing. Okay.
Yeah. Then there's the UHS Henderson Hospital expansion, $385 million. Public transit improvements like the Maryland Parkway Bus Rapid Transit Project, nearly $380 million. And even some new, maybe smaller scale hotels popping up, like a Delta by Marriott and an AC hotel element development.
Okay, so that's under construction. What about the planned projects? Those show the really big ambitions, right?
They really do. Some are just staggering in scale, like the proposed Oakview Group Arena, hotel, and casino project. The estimate listed $10 billion.
$10 billion. That's immense.
It is. And beyond entertainment, look at the plans for film studios. Summerlin Studios at $1.8 billion, Nevada Studios campus at $900 million. That could potentially bring a whole new industry, or at least scale up what's there.
Right. Film industry infrastructure. And the A's baseball stadium, of course.
Yep, listed at $1.5 billion. That's going to reshape part of the Strip corridor for sure.
And then there's a lot planned on the residential and mixed-use side, too, suggesting they expect more people, different lifestyles, maybe.
He seems like it. You see things like the Four Seasons private residences at $1.3 billion. Henderson West, a big mixed-use project at $950 million. Mosaic Companies at $800 million. Desert Pines at $500 million. These are substantial commitments to housing and community building.
And there are others, too, right? Other significant planned projects.
Yeah, the list goes on. Major hotel developments like Majestic Las Vegas, $850, and Dream Las Vegas, $550. Big infrastructure jobs like the Henderson Interchange, $507.05. And even, intriguingly, a Las Vegas spaceport project listed at $310 million.
A spaceport. Okay. So what does this massive pipeline of projects, both underway and planned, what does it tell us overall?
I think it screams confidence. There's a profound confidence and just substantial capital being committed to the region's future.
And it seems really broad.
It is. It spans the traditional strengths, tourism, hospitality, but it also reaches deep into transportation, manufacturing, healthcare, housing, and potentially new industries like film and maybe even aerospace.
It really paints a picture of a regional economy that's actively trying to evolve, maybe diversify its foundation a bit.
I think that's exactly right.
Okay, final piece. Tucked away in the sources, we also found something, well, much more practical than billions in GDP or giant construction projects.
Yes. The business card.
Yeah, a business card. Seems almost out of place.
Well, it's a realtor's card, but what makes it kind of relevant here is the list on the back.
What's on it?
It's got contact numbers for major local utilities and services, like NV Energy for power, Southwest Gas, Las Vegas Water, Republic Services for trash pickup, Cox Communications for internet and cable, even the DMV and the county school district.
Okay, so why even bring this up alongside all the big economic data?
Because it's kind of a grounding element, isn't it? It's a reminder that behind all these high-level stats and massive planned developments, there are just, real people living and working in Southern Nevada every day.
Right, the everyday stuff.
Exactly. The simple card connects that macroeconomic picture, the billions of dollars, to the ground-level reality of, say, setting up a home or running a business there. It points directly to the essential service providers that make the whole economy function for individuals and families.
It anchors those abstract numbers in the everyday experience. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's try and pull all of this together then. What story does this whole collection of sources tell us about Southern Nevada's economy right now? We've seen, booming gaming and tourism revenue, overall rising GDP and population,
Yeah.
but also these nuanced trends in employment and income. We saw the really stark differences across zip codes and housing and demographics. And then this future shaped by billions flowing into all sorts of different development projects.
I think the key takeaways when you boil it down seem to be this. Strong growth in the core metrics, like GDP, overall visitation, points to a robust economy at that headline level.
Okay.
However, when you drill down, you see those recent, maybe slight dips in median income and convention attendance. You see a really varied, complex housing market that looks dramatically different depending on where you are.
Right, the zip code variations.
Exactly. And maybe most crucially, the enormous scale of planned investment suggests this really deliberate push towards diversification, moving beyond just the traditional tourism base.
So understanding all these layers, it helps you, the listener, see the powerful forces at play in Southern Nevada, doesn't it? Whether you're maybe thinking about visiting, perhaps even relocating there, investing, or maybe you're just curious about how these big regional economies work. This data gives you a much richer picture than just the strip headlines.
For sure.
It shows the strengths, yeah, but also the challenges and just the complex, kind of evolving nature of a place like this.
And it raises this important question, I think. Considering the sheer volume of planned investment in these non-tourism sectors, manufacturing, film, transportation infrastructure,
Yeah.
combined with that continued population growth and the diversification we see happening across different neighborhoods, will Southern Nevada's whole economic identity fundamentally shift in the coming years?
You mean become less defined just by gaming and tourism than its reputation suggests?
Exactly. Could its reliance lessen? It's something really interesting to ponder as all these huge projects we talked about actually move forward.
That's a fascinating possibility to consider, how that investment could reshape the dynamics in those specific zip codes we explored. Lots to think about there. Well, thanks for diving in with us on this. We really appreciate you exploring this information alongside us.